So software is also pretty damn important. If great hardware is nothing without software.
Yeah.
And I've seen Intel spend more and more money on the software side.
Yeah.
I think Renee James announced Moblin 2. He put a lot of money behind that. And I think it was yesterday or the day before, you've bought Wind River.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday. Is that's all against your relationship with Microsoft, in the sense that those guys provide software too? I mean, what's the, again, rationale into putting so much money there? And it almost seems like you're building up, I wouldn't say competition, or just resources against Microsoft and perhaps even ARM, because if you port over some of the better things from Wind River, or you make it x86 only, suddenly you've destroyed the competition.
Yeah, so what we've said, by the way, is we're not changing anything that Wind River's doing in terms of their relationships with their customers. By far, if you look at Intel CPUs, by far the majority of them end up running one version of Microsoft operating systems or another. Where we are going into new markets, the embedded markets in particular, there is a fairly large presence of Linux and specialist embedded software, and that was one of the things that Wind River had that we were particularly interested in. It helps us go into a new market where, in many cases, Microsoft doesn't have a product. In our conventional market, our relationship with Microsoft is very strong. I'd call it conventional or mainstream market. And we're just heading into the refresh of Windows 7, which looks to be a very, very, very strong implementation. All the signs look very, very positive. So we have a very tight relationship with Microsoft on that. We're putting a lot of effort in there. I don't see that changing at all. So net, where we're going into new markets, we won't necessarily do it with Microsoft. Where Microsoft go into new markets, they don't necessarily do it with Intel. But in our mainstream traditional market, we still work incredibly closely with them.
Right. And changing gears and power envelopes, in the HPC space, what's Intel doing to garner more market share there? It's a lucrative side of the market, and perhaps at the moment not best leveraged by Xeon and Titanium. Is there possibility there for expansion this year or next 3 years?
You're talking about the high performance compute segment.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know the exact data, but I think the majority of the top 10 installations are already running on Xeon or Titanium. 32 nanometers, which is our next generation of silicon, we call it our second generation high-K metal gate. We do get some extraordinary performance figures there on Nehalem, and you're going to see that whole computing segment take another big leap forward. The Nehalem performance improvement over the previous generation is really pretty dramatic, and it's partly because of new microarchitectural features, and it's partly because of the 32 nanometer technology, which means we can do some amazing performance and be miserly on electricity consumption. So I think you're going to see a big impact on HPC during the next 15 months with Nehalem. And then after that, we'll keep rolling forward. We've got additional transistor technology that we're going to use and additional microprocessor features. So we have a roadmap of applications in high performance computing that goes out for more than a decade. And there's a lot of great problems you can tackle in that space.
And I suppose you can never have too much power in that space. So we're talking 4 cores, 8 cores now. It's almost irrelevant in the sense that more cores are better. And I presume your customers demand that.
Yeah, there is an insatiable demand in high performance computing. And you look out the window here where it's raining. Another 2 orders or 3 orders of magnitude of compute performance, and we'll get super accurate weather forecasting, or do very rapid protein pairing in drug testing and so on. So that whole area, there's no limit to the amount of computing power you need. There is a limit to the amount of electricity that you can supply to these things. So it's that same trade-off again the whole time. We need to pack them very, very, very dense and keep figuring out a way of getting more, increasing the performance per watt, which is the main metric there.
I'm going to ask you this question on our readers' and viewers' lips. Is a product coming out in 2010, perhaps to tackle ATI and NVIDIA at Larrabee.
Yeah.
As a marketing man, how would you describe Larrabee?
Well, we've given some early indications of the architecture, and we're taking a bit of a different approach to the conventional GPUs. I think, again, that space is going to be ripe for innovation in the next 5 to 7 years. I think that we're going to come in with a slightly different way of tackling things. I think it'll liven the market up a little bit. The two guys who are the leaders in there have got plenty of their own expertise, and if they produce good products, I'm sure they're going to carry on doing well. We're going to come in with a slightly different approach, and we'll see what happens. But that market segment, although it's not the largest segment for sure in the industry, is one where innovation is going to really help.
And lastly, if we fast forward 5 years, in your view, what kind of PC experience are we looking at? What do you think is going to be in everybody's homes? And do you believe that it's going to be, or has to be, internet-centric?
I think that particularly in the middle of a recession, the key things are it's going to vary country by country, and it'll depend on whether people have low-cost bandwidth, and whether or not societies make a big effort to deploy computers to everybody. Everybody should have a computer. And there are some societies that are tackling that more energetically than others. And everyone should have access to low-cost bandwidth. And we need to plan on people needing 100 megabit kind of levels of bandwidth, because bandwidth consumption carries on increasing. I think the goal for the industry ought to be 2 billion plus people with their own computers. So at the moment you've got something in the range of 4 billion cell phones, 4 billion people using cell phones. At the least we ought to get 2 billion to 3 billion of those people connected with internet devices, at the least. And really we ought to try and get everybody connected. So that means continued focus on cost reduction, continued focus on performance and density for all these cloud applications and server applications, and make the mainstream notebook more and more of a better experience. If we do that and we deliver on all of that, I think then people will buy the products.
Okay, well thank you very much for your time, Sean.
My pleasure.